Welcome to the Y Connect podcast. As the heartbeat of the community, the Y is a connector where people of all ages and walks of life come together to elevate their health, wellness, education, and essential life skills. Hear the stories of impact and join the authentic conversations where together we'll discover the journeys and pathways people take to connect through the Y. Now your hosts, Zarina, Robert, and Allison.
Hello. It's good to see everybody.
Good morning.
Hi.
Good morning, both of you. How's everybody doing today?
Hey, welcome back. All
Absolutely.
is well. All is well.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Doing
you guys are
really
looking
well.
good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You too. You always bring it, Zarina, with the dresses. Zarina and I work out of the
It's so
same
funny.
building, and I see you, and I'm like, she has just got some serious wardrobe
funny.
game. Serious. You really do.
I'm running out. It's time
I'm
to
ex-
re-up.
I'm really excited about this episode, and it's kind of a nice continuation or a tie-in with the last episode when we interviewed Tanisha Anderson and the work that she does today around supporting individuals who have transitioned from being foster care children into adults. We are going to be talking about foster care families and the work that the Y does to support them. So
Very
I'm
important
really
work.
excited about it.
Very important work.
So, hello everyone again, and welcome to Y Connect. Today's episode is titled Foster Families Find Support in the Y. I am so intrigued by this topic and so excited to hear about the connections between the Y and our foster care families. But before we begin, we have three special ladies to introduce to you guys. We have Miss Eron Cooper, Kim Pluhar, and Caroline Del Carmen. Eron Cooper is the foster care liaison and a school social worker for 4 South County Schools. She is completing her 10th year in the schools, but has served students in foster care her entire professional career. Prior to transitioning to the school setting, Erin worked for a child placing agency serving families, children with special needs, as well as working for the Division of Family and Children's Services in multiple different Georgia counties. Kim Pluhar is the McKinney-Vento Homeless Education Liaison with Forsyth County Schools. With a dual background in education and foreign languages, Kim taught in both public and independent schools. Before that, Kim worked as a volunteer helping homeless youth and their families. Kim is co-chair of the Homeless Youth Council, facilitator of the Metro Atlanta McKinney-Vento Professional Learning Community, and serves on the Georgia McKinney-Vento State Advisory Board. Caroline Del Carmen started working with the Y in Montgomery, Alabama in 2006. Her journey began as a volunteer swim coach with her 3 children. They joined the swim team. Since then, she has worked as the senior director in aquatics, sports, and wellness alongside being a part of the senior management team as the association's aquatics senior director. Welcome, ladies.
Welcome.
Thank you.
We're thrilled that you could make it today and to be here to talk about the work that you do. I'm going to start with Eron. Eron, if you could share with us your role as a social worker and foster care liaison, describe the work that you do for folks.
Sure. Thank you all for having us here. I am so excited to be here and talk about my role, but also just talk about the foster care community. And I'm just so grateful for the YMCA and the support that they provide for foster children and foster families. But I do have a dual role here in Forsyth County Schools as a school social worker. My mission is to help remove barriers for students to learning when those barriers are outside of the classroom. So we see a lot of times that kids are struggling to progress academically or they're not performing to their educational potential because of things that are maybe happening outside of school. It could be anything from lacking resources for basic sustenance. It could be physical health or mental health needs that are impacting their ability to learn. It could be toxic stress in their home environment or even trauma. So as a school social worker, I get to work with those students and their families to help identify the barriers and connect them with resources and advocacy to help remove those barriers. So that's a really fun part of my job. As foster care liaison, my role is a little bit different. So I get to work with all of the schools here in Forsyth County to identify our students who are experiencing foster care. Once we have those students identified, I'm working mostly behind the scenes to make sure that certain entitlements are provided to each one of those students, and that we're helping to develop plans for those students to remove any barriers as a result of trauma to their learning. So about 6 years ago, the Every Student Succeeds Act developed this foster care program and developed some federal entitlements for every student nationwide who is in foster care. So I make sure that they're receiving those entitlements as well.
Thank you for sharing that. The dual role, I mean, you're balancing a lot, but it seems
True.
like you're very enthusiastic and you're not daunted by the task.
Oh my gosh, it's fantastic. Every day my job is different. I get to work with individuals. I'm not just behind a computer. And the really great thing is we get to partner with agencies in our community like the YMCA that really pour into these families and these students and make a big difference. So it is such a rewarding job. And it's not one that we could do as social workers or foster care liaisons in isolation. It really is the community coming together to support these people.
That's truly amazing work. Truly amazing work. Kim, this question is for you. If you can help us understand the McKinney-Vento Act, and as a liaison, what does your role entail?
Thank you. Again, it's such a pleasure to be here to share space with you and to talk about the McKinney-Vento Homeless Education Act. The McKinney-Vento Homeless Education Act is a federal, state, and local act that has been reauthorized since 1986. It helps students experiencing homelessness remove barriers to immediate enrollment and meet with academic success. And so one of the opportunities I have is to meet with every single one of our families who are experiencing homelessness and homeless situations, and to help them with their immediate enrollment in school and to remove barriers. That includes wraparound supports, and every single case is so individual in the needs that students experiencing homelessness have. In addition to that, I want to talk a little bit about what homelessness means in the world of education, because it's a little different than the HUD definition of homelessness. There are 4 different categorical eligibilities in homeless education. The first is families that are living in shelters. And across the Metro Atlanta, we all have different numbers of shelters. In our county, in Forsyth County, we really only have 1 shelter, and that's for domestic violence. We also have a rotational program for families who want to enter Family Promise. So we have those 2 organizations that can help a small pocket of families, but that is a limitation with the number of shelters we have available. The second definition of homelessness are families who are doubled up due to economic hardship. Throughout the country and throughout the state of Georgia, that represents about 76 to 78%. Here in Forsyth County, due to a lack of alternative affordable housing options, that's more like 80%. And that means that the families cannot afford to live anyplace else. When I started this position 8 years ago, we had doubled up situations, and the welcome mat wears out, and families oftentimes move 3 to 4 times in a year. In the past 2 years, we've had some concerning and alarming trends. We now have families who are tripling, quadrupling, and quintupling up. That means that they have no alternative affordable housing option, and there are 5 families with multiple children living in rooms sharing space. And again, this is due to economic hardship, the rising cost of rents, and also just the fact that sustainability, families can't afford basic needs. And so we love our partnerships with places like the Y and other community agencies to remove some of these barriers and to help work towards sustainability so that families can attain housing and housing stability on that Maslow Maslow Tier 1. The third definition is families who are living in shelters or unsheltered situations. That could be a campground, a car, or someplace that's not meant for habitation. We have a lot of families who've had trees fall through their houses, and because they can't find anything else, they'll live in the house while they're repairing it themselves, and oftentimes that affects 2 or 3 families, not just one. And then the fourth categorical eligibility is that hoteling piece. It's families who are living in hotels, long-term stay hotels, due to a lack of alternative affordable housing. We're not talking about glamping. We're not talking about, hey, we're going to go while our house is being repaired and we're doing renovations. We're talking about families who cannot afford. And once that hotel cycle starts, it is so hard to get out of, because the cost of a hotel, even the lowest price hotels, is as much. And one of the trends that we've seen in some of the other metro counties, and we're seeing a little glimpse of it here, is families can't afford the 4 weeks in a hotel anymore. And so they're having to toggle between and figure out how to mediate that on the day or two they can't afford. So that is a definition and overview. We have agreements with our health department to help families get the immunizations they need. The YMCA has been amazing to step in and help us with so many projects and needs. And as our numbers have continued to grow, we have more and more needs arising. Last year, our numbers grew 20%. We had our highest number of homeless children and youth. This year, we're already surpassing last year's numbers with 3 months left in the school year.
Do you all have
have
wraparound
to-
services?
go ahead, Robert.
Do you all have
We
wraparound
do.
services to assist
We do
with
have wraparound
counseling?
services. We're working more and more. The McKinney-Vento program works closely with our social work team. We also have ARP funds, and ARP funds were to help families who experienced COVID delays, and that funding is going to be gone. We actually have a coach who meets with our students in 6th through 12th grade, and she coaches them in trauma and resiliency. And that position, unfortunately, is probably going to be ending at the end of this year because that funding source is going away. But that specific role is working on the wraparound supports, every single thing that we can do to work towards sustainability so that our families can work towards that housing piece. So we look at food pantries, we look at what kind of food delivery services we have. We work with Meals by Grace. When it's clothing, we give clothing vouchers locally. Whatever we can do to help our families so that they can work towards that housing sustainability, we do. We have cross-functional collaborations throughout our community. I know Caroline has been amazing at the Y. We had something fall through for some of our unaccompanied homeless youth this holiday season. And we always try and make sure that they have an opportunity to have somebody remember them at the holidays. And something fell through, and Caroline came in at the last minute with her Y connections, and we were able to provide some holiday surprises for about 20 of our unaccompanied homeless youth that are 18 and above.
Wow.
Excellent.
That's great.
That's great, Caroline.
Excellent work.
So clearly, Kim and Eron, you guys work closely together and cross-collaborate, because families that are foster care families or families that are experiencing homelessness, there is some commonality and some life situations where you really have to share resources and share intel. Is that how you would describe that?
Absolutely. And actually, the foster care program and the McKinney-Vento program used to be combined. It used to be one. So it wasn't until 2016 that they differentiated students in foster care from those who are homeless. But we do still have kids who overlap. For example, Kim mentioned a lot of individuals living in homelessness being in hotels. And unfortunately, we are seeing more kids in foster care actually being housed in hotels rather than in group homes or in family foster homes. So even now, we are sharing students. They qualify under both programs because they are both homeless and in foster care. But you're also right about the community supports. We do, Kim and I do collaborate a lot about community supports for our families and for our students.
All right. So Kim and Eron, I love you guys' collaboration. And I'm wondering, Eron, from your perspective, what do you think the main reason is why our children are ending up in foster care?
You know, that is a very good question. I'm sorry about my sigh. I just let out a big sigh because that's such a big question. The
That's
number one
real.
reason
Mhm.
that it is, yes. The number one reason that children end up in foster care is because of neglect. So when people hear
Mm.
about DFACs in foster care, usually the first thing that comes to mind is physical abuse. But that's actually not the main reason that children end up in care. Now, neglect is a big umbrella and it could mean a lot of different things. Sometimes, like I mentioned earlier, it's basic sustenance. The parents aren't able to provide food, they're not able to provide housing. But a lot of times we're seeing sometimes they're not able to provide the supervision the child needs because of the parents'
Mm,
own struggles with mental health or with substance abuse. So
right.
neglect is the primary reason that kids come into care. Of course, there are other reasons: physical abuse, sexual abuse, child endangerment, sometimes even medical neglect or educational neglect, even though those are less common.
Right. Thank you.
You guys gave a lot of wonderful shout outs to Caroline. And so I have to ask Caroline, tell us about how the why and the work that you're doing got started with working with Forsyth County schools around supporting foster families.
Well, when I first, I know everything is pre-COVID and post-COVID, but
Mhm.
post-COVID, we were trying to see what was out there and what the community needed. And I'm very new to this community, so I joined the Forsyth Child and Family Welfare Collaboration, and here, and they have it in every county in Georgia. And I really, honestly, and selfishly was just reaching out because I was in dire need of employees, and I had used those resources prior in Alabama as well. Well, anyway, and that's how I got to know Eron and Kim, and then Forsyth County they used to have an agreement with YMCA, and somehow where along the way it had it had gone away. And so it was just an opportunity in a selfish way and in an interest, because this is a very big passion of mine, to get with them and see where I could help through the YMCA and personally as well, where I could just get in and get started with them. And that's really just with my community development and social impact background. That's really just kind of where I just dove in and met Kim, and didn't even know the homeless situation here in Forsyth County. And that's where it honestly all began. And poor Kim, she agreed to see me that time. You could tell she was frazzled right there after COVID, as we all were, just trying to figure out where our place was and what we were going to do with all of these children, with the different resources and our backgrounds, how we were going to pull it all together, and what it was going to look like after that. So that's how it all began here at the Y, with the Y, and with Eron and Kim.
Thank you
It
for
sounds like
your
you all do
passion and
Yes.
your personal
truly.
belief in that.
You all are doing
Yes.
amazing work, and the partnership
Yes, you are.
obviously speaks for itself. This question is for Eron and Kim. What are the qualifications to become a foster parent? And if for the individuals that are listening who might be interested in becoming a foster parent, where would they start?
That's also a great question. In order to be a foster parent, there are a lot of qualifications, let's be honest. DFACS is a
Okay.
government agency, and so there's a lot of red tape. With that being
Yep.
said, a lot of the qualifications that are required are pretty basic. So, in order to be a foster parent, you do have to be at least 21 years of age. You also need to have no substantiated child protective services history, which basically means you've never been found guilty of abusing or neglecting a child yourself. They also look at your criminal history to make sure that there's nothing substantial there. And then beyond that, you really need to have it in your heart and in your mind to want to share your life in your home and your time and your resources with a child who needs love and is going to need a lot of support. Also, in order to be a foster parent, there is a 24-hour training program. It's called Impact.
Mm.
And depending on where you take the Impact classes, they may combine that 24 hours worth of training into one weekend, or they may spread it out over a series of weeks. So once that training class is completed and you've passed the background checks and you're of age, then they'll do what's called a home study, where someone with DFACS will come out to your house and sit down with you and your family, and you really open yourself up and allow them to get to know you. They're going to want to know about your life growing up, how you were parented, how you parent, if you are a parent already.
Right.
They're going to want to know about your finances, your relationships, and of course, they're going to want to look at your house to make sure that you have space and that your home is appropriate. So it's really pretty straightforward. But the biggest thing, if you have it in your heart to serve children and to provide a safe place for them to heal, while they hopefully get reunified with their families, that's the starting point. And from there, you can work with DFACS to see if all the other little qualifications fall into line. But it's not a difficult process, even though it can be tedious at times. Yeah. And if someone is interested in fostering and getting more information about it, actually once a month, there is an online orientation. In order to be invited to the orientation and for some questions and answers, you can actually contact Rebecca Davidson with the Department of Family and Children Services. Her email address is Rebecca with 2 C's .davidson@dhs.ga.gov. Again, it's Rebecca, REBCCA.davidson@dhs.ga.gov.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Sure.
Absolutely,
I'm
because
so
I actually know someone who's looking to be a foster parent. So this is going to be the perfect episode for them.
It is so
So
rewarding.
the next, yeah. My question is for Caroline. Could you share some of the stories of hope that you've seen here at the Y and the meaningful difference that it's made in the lives of the families we've served?
Oh yeah. I mean, I have so many that I can, but my favorite ones, I have 3 real quick. Is my we do a giving tree here in Forsyth County every Christmas, and we love involving our group homes. There's one here for boys and one for girls, and we get them. We let them list everything that they want. And sometimes you kind of worry when you put it out there because you don't know what you're going to get back. And but I can say that they have all been given everything that was on their list, and they're just so thankful and happy to see you and open up those presents. And again, it's very selfish, but it's so rewarding to see those smiles and those faces. But my favorite foster family story is I have a couple here who got a set of twins, and they came to them because their mother was they got them, I think, on the 3rd or 4th day, and because their mother was addicted to opioids at the time, and so they took them out from the hospital, brought them home, and they were born early, so there were some issues there, and they have raised those 2 little children just to be these cute little kids. They run around the Y. We love them to death. And then probably and they started fostering because they couldn't have children of their own. That's how it began. And then about a year ago, around this time, the same mother had another child, and they called them and they said, absolutely, we will take the sibling. And they took this itty bitty baby. And I just found out about 3 or 4 months ago that she's pregnant with their first child, that their
Wonderful.
first DNA child, that shared DNA child. But they are all so excited, and it's just a real the love and the welcoming that they have with their family and bringing them in here, and how much it means to all of us to kind of be a part of that. And just happy to have them at the YMCA doing all the programs that we can provide for them, and just continuing that relationship with them, and hopefully many, many more to come. So,
One thing I would love to point out, and Caroline, you can probably speak to this more than I can because you work in the Forsyth County Family Y, is that when foster families come to the Y, we really do a lot of work in terms of helping the affordability piece for families from a financial assistance
Yeah.
perspective, so children can participate in as many activities as possible. That's been a mission of our Y for quite some time, wouldn't you say?
Oh, definitely. They get their membership for all foster families get a free membership, and all services that we have going on here are provided to them at no cost to those children, so that they will have those, and those that they may or may not have had otherwise. And the membership follows the child, and they can use it until they age out of the system. And even then, we have a couple that we do financial assistance for here. So and we just started doing that, and that's a real passion, I know, of mine. I drive everyone here crazy about it, but to make sure that they just, because I'll be honest, I think about my children who are all grown and think, oh my gosh, they've never aged out of my house. So I just don't think it's very fair that they, we just let them go. So we do everything that we can to provide those services.
Thank you. Kim and Eron, would you like to add anything before we get to our final question? Anything that you would like to share that maybe we didn't share earlier?
One thing I'd like to say is just how much we appreciate. We've been able to spotlight in parent and family engagement in meetings that we have with our homeless families and in contacting them on a monthly basis, the partnership with the Y. And I know Caroline's gone above and beyond to extend beyond foster families to make sure that our homeless families in the community also have access to supportive resources through the Y. And so we're very thankful for that. And also, I don't know if Eron wants to mention how timely it is to talk about the need for foster families, just due to the fact that the numbers are so low historically compared to other times post-COVID. We just lost a lot of foster families. And I know that actively that is really a challenge for DFACs throughout the state. And so we're thankful for the Y to spotlight this need and to address it head on, because it's an issue that is time sensitive.
Absolutely.
You're absolutely
Eron,
right,
is there anything
Kim.
else you would say? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would just like to echo what Kim said about the need for foster families right now. In Forsyth County, we only have 20 traditional foster families who are able to serve kids who are in care. And just in our school system, in Forsyth County schools, we've had 105 kids in foster care this year. So, needless to say, our homes are full. We also have 2 group homes here that Caroline referred to, and we're so grateful to have a boys' home and a girls' home. So they do house some of our teenagers. But statewide, a lot of group homes were shutting down during COVID because of a lack of funding and also a lack of employees. And so there's just been a greater need for fostering, for foster parents. So if there's anyone listening to this who has an interest in fostering, I really do encourage you to just get more information about it. And one thing a lot of people don't realize is that if you do choose to foster, or if you want to try it out, so to speak, you can actually be qualified to be a respite provider. So instead of having a child move in with you and live with you long term until they reunify or are adopted, you can provide respite to their traditional foster parents and serve a child for a couple days, or while the family has to go out of town and the child wasn't given authorization to go with them. So you can support other foster families by doing it in the interim. So that is one way that I found a lot of people kind of get their feet wet and gain their confidence and really realize, oh, this is great. And the idea of fostering sounds so scary, but once you meet those kids and you look into their eyes and you hear their stories and you see that they are just precious, innocent children who need love and they need stability, it melts your heart and it hooks you. So so we do have a great need for it. And really, this is such a great community to foster, and also because of all of the community support. So the YMCA and the other agencies that just wrap themselves around our foster children and the families who are supporting them. So it's really a great community to do it in as well.
Nice. The 3 of you are truly an inspiration. Thank you so much for what you do.
Yes. Yes,
There is
yes,
this
yes.
last question we like to ask our guests each time we record an episode of Why Connect. And that is, could you share, or if you can think about a time in your life when you were first connected to the why? It seems like everyone has a why story out there, and we would love to hear yours. And so I'll let you decide who goes first.
So
Caroline?
I had the
Oh,
opportunity
okay.
to be
Kim will go
connected
first.
in and out of the Y throughout childhood from some different events. But I remember one of my first years in this job, there was a student who qualified for the McKinney-Vento program who was living with his sister, and his sister worked at the Y. And I followed him all through high school, and he would go to the Y every single day after school with his sister who was working there. She was putting herself through college, and he was getting through high school. And I know that the Y was the foundational bedrock for them, and it was stability for them. And they had the community of employees at the Y that adopted them, quote unquote, not really adopted them because they were over the age of adoption, but they carried them
Right.
through. They connected them with resources in partnership with the school system. And that is my why story.
Wow.
Thank you.
Great story. Great story.
That's
Yeah.
great.
My why story is just very personal. I got started because I just stopped working. I had my third child, and it had been a couple of years, and they were driving me insane. And I thought, I am going to put them in these. I got to find programs, and so I took them to the YMCA for swimming because we all have swimming backgrounds. And I volunteered to be their coach and to teach other children. And that is literally how my first Y experience and my YMCA career started. Because as all of you that work for the Y know, they think if you're in water, then you must be a great aquatic instructor. So I have all different kinds of skills. But I tell you what, it has been. I don't know what I would have done without this in my life. And I was definitely led here, and it is a movement and a calling, no doubt.
Such a
Love it.
beautiful story.
Love it.
That's great. I guess I'm up. So when I think back about my involvement with the YMCA, I think my first involvement was as a child. I grew up not far from where I live now, and my family didn't have a lot of money. My dad worked really hard to provide for us, but I was trying to learn to play softball. I was on a team, and I was mediocre at the height of my softball career. But I needed some strength training, you guys, and my parents couldn't afford a gym membership for us. But somehow my parents learned about the financial assistance that the YMCA provides to families with, at certain income levels. And so my family was able to qualify for that, and I was able to get in the gym and build up some strength and got mediocre. So it was, when I think back about it, that was my introduction to the YMCA. But honestly, the Y has just been woven throughout my life. When I moved to Savannah, I started attending a church that was housed at the YMCA. The YMCA allowed them to use part of their building. And then I met my husband who was working at the YMCA, and here I am now still in the YMCA. So, you guys have been there all my life.
Full circle.
Fantastic.
Absolutely full circle.
Yes. Oh, thank you guys so much for coming to our podcast today. I know I've enjoyed the conversations today.
Truly enlightening.
Thank you.
You all are doing incredible work. Thank you so much for what you do.
Very meaningful.
Yeah.
And we appreciate our producer, Russ, today for producing today's podcast and sharing that information. So if a family does want to get involved in being a foster care parent, they know where to go. Thank you all so much.
Thank you for listening to the Y Podcast. To continue the conversation or to find your closest Y, please connect with us at ymcaatlanta.org and sign up for our newsletter, Healthy Together.